Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about describing graphs. So you're going to need your notes, pencil, and that foldable. All right. Our learning objectives today are that you can determine the local maximums and minimums that are on a graph. You can determine whether a graph is increasing or decreasing and state the intervals. And you can find the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts of a graph. All right, make sure we get these written down, okay, ladies and gentlemen? Have to be written down in your notes. All right, this is going to be the front and back of your foldable. You guys, the green, where it shows green, you're going to fold those over. Where it shows red, that's where you're going to be cutting, all right? Now we're going to look inside the foldable, and we're going to be filling this in. First thing we're going to fill in is the x-intercept. And the x-intercept is a point on the graph that crosses the x-axis. So we have three of them for this one. We have -3, 0. So put these in your graph as well, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to fill out this graph. Then we have 1, 0. And we have 5, 0. Those are x-intercepts. X-intercepts, the y is always going to be 0. Now, for our next thing, we have the y-intercepts. It's a point where the graph crosses the y-axis. So if we look at this one, we have 1. And that is at 0, 2. So make sure you're filling out the sides and the inside of this foldable. Okay, ladies and gentlemen? A function is increasing on the interval if the y values are increasing as the x values are increasing. So this one we have two spots. It's increasing here and here. Now I'm also going to have you guys write in what the intervals are. So if you look this way, we're going on forever in the negative direction. So this is going to be negative infinity all the way to our x value right here, which is -1. It's also increasing here if we start down here. So it's increasing from 3 and it goes on forever, so that's going to be infinity. Those are intervals, so put those on our graph as well. Now a function is decreasing on an interval if the y values are decreasing, so going down, and the x values are increasing. So if we look here, this is our range. So from here to here, we are decreasing. So we're looking at x value at -1, and we go all the way to 3. That's where we're decreasing. That's our interval for that. Next, the maximum is the y value of the highest point on a particular region of a graph. So here our maximum lies right here at -1, 4. Now the minimum is the y value of the lowest point in a particular region of a graph. So here our minimum for this one is 3, -4. Now our last thing right here, zeros, roots, solutions, and intercepts are all names that describe the x value. So our x-intercept of a graph whose corresponding y value is 0. So we're going to talk a lot about zeros, roots, solutions, intercepts. Okay, so it's going to be on the x-axis where the y value is going to be 0. All right, that's all for our foldable. So make sure you have all of this filled out, the graph, and all the side parts, and we're going to move on to 2 examples. So you're going to have to get this all in your notes. So graph this and write all of this down because we're going to be going through and filling this out. First thing we're going to look for are our x-intercepts. Our x-intercepts are where it crosses the x-axis. So here and here. So our x-intercepts are -1, 0, and 3, 0. Those are our x-intercepts. Now our y-intercepts, remember, is where it crosses the y-axis, so that's going to be right here. For this one, that's 0, -3. Now, increasing and decreasing. We're going to be increasing when our x and y values are both going up. So we're increasing from here all the way up. That's where we're increasing. Now we're going to write this in intercept notation. So we're starting right here. Our starting point for our x value is 1. So we're going from 1, and we're going on forever in the positive direction. So we're going from 1 all the way to infinity. Now we're going to be decreasing. So we're going here, and we're going down all the way to here. So we're starting, since we're going forever, in the negative direction, we're going forever. So it's negative infinity all the way to our x value right here, which is 1. So we're writing those in interval notations. Now, maximum. If we look at this one, there's no particular max point, so we're just going to write none. But our minimum is going to be right here at the bottom, our lowest point in our graph, and that point is 1, -4. And last but not least, we're going to do domain and range. So domain is our x values. I'm going to write it in both set notation and interval notation. So first, interval notation. Our x values go on forever in both directions. So from negative infinity all the way to infinity. So it's going to be negative infinity to infinity. That's interval notation. Now set notation, remember, is going to be x such that x equals, if it's negative infinity to infinity, all real numbers. Do the same thing for range. Range is our y value. So if we look here, we can't go anywhere past -4, but it goes on forever upward. So we're going to go from -4 all the way to positive infinity. If we want to look at it in set notation, it's going to be y, because range is our y values, such that y is greater than or equal to -4. So it's -4 and above. All right, there's our first example. So make sure you have all of this written down, please. And we're going to move on to our second example. So here's example number 2. Make sure you get this graph written down correctly, same as what it is here. And then we're going to talk about all of these things to the right. All right, here we go. Starting with x-intercepts. That's where it crosses the x-axis. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 x-intercepts. So I'm going to put all of those down. I have -3, 0, -1, 0, 1, 0, and 3, 0. Those are all my x-intercepts. Now for my y-intercepts, where it crosses my y-axis, I just have 1 right there. We're at 0, 9. Now increasing and decreasing. Increasing x and y are both increasing. So we're starting our increase right here. And it's going all the way to here. So there's our first interval. So in interval notation, I'm starting at my x value, always looking at x values. So I'm starting at -2, and I'm going all the way to my x value, which is 0. So put my -2 there, all the way to 0. Now I'm also increasing from here at 2 and on forever, so that's going to be positive infinity. So I'm going from 2 to infinity. I have 2 sets of increasing. Now if we look at where I'm decreasing, my y values are going down here. So I'm starting at negative infinity until I get to my x value, which is -2. So I have negative infinity to -2. And I'm also decreasing from 0 all the way down to 2. So my next decreasing interval is from 0 to 2. So there's my increasing and decreasing intervals. Now maximum. This one does have a maximum. My highest point right here at 0, 9. And I also have some minimums. This time I have more than one. I have one here and I have one right here. So my first one is -2, -15. And my second one is 2, -15. Alright, last but not least, domain and range. So domain for x values, since I keep going on in both directions, my x values in interval notation would be -infinity to +infinity. Or in set notation, x such that x equals all real numbers. Now my range are my y values. So if we would think about our little foldable, if we were folding this over, my range can only go, if I look at here, -15, it doesn't go past here, and it doesn't go past 9. So my range is going to be -15 to 9. Now if I would write this in set notation, it would look like this. Y such that, now it has to be smaller than 9 and larger than -15. So I have my y in the middle, less than or equal to -15 and 9. So there's interval notation and set notation. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have for you today. If you have any questions, make sure you ask, and I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will be seeing you soon. Bye.